Hi, I'm Holly Morrison. Welcome back to Midwest Meanderings. Well, today I want to talk to you about something that is near and dear to my heart, the body of Christ. Being healthy and ready for whatever could be coming in the next few months. There's plenty of people that are hitting this on other levels. I'm not going there. Obviously, put away some groceries, put away comfort food, put away some calories. We're in an election cycle and sometimes things can get a little crazy, right? We've already experienced this from 2020 to 2021 and, kind of into 2022. So that was a wild ride, right? So I'm going to talk to you today about something that the Lord has coined, getting the bride of Christ into the ark of natural remedies. So if you've been around my channel long enough, I'm talking about quite a few things. I like supplements. I talk about bone broth and collagen and milk kefir, honey fermented garlic. That's kind of like my top ones, right? So I want to turn you on to some things that are actually being put into a book. So working on writing, and I've got a good friend. Her name is, I won't mention her name because I don't want to give her a shout out that she may not want right now. But I have a good friend who's really put the metal to the pedal and put out some amazing books and journals and good stuff that I am about to sink my teeth into and get in. I've got one that's about to be ordered in a couple days, but she's published 5 things just in the last month or so. And I'm like, wow, you're provoking me. Thank you. So the Lord has been talking to me, not about putting more content out on YouTube. He's been talking to me about putting out a book. I just want to talk to you about a handful of things that I've talked to people about before over the years, but I want to kind of try to put it all in one spot. And I'll put a link to my website down below. I also put links, anything I mention that sounds like we should put out a link, we're going to try. So just know that if I don't say I'll put a link down below, I'll put a link down below. One of the things that I would say is just get your toolbox for healing in order. Get your diet in order if you are game and ready to tackle something like that. An anti-inflammatory way of healing is the most powerful way to boost your immune system. But also supplements, gee whiz, not everybody can nail this, to get everything in that you need that keeps your immune system strong. So I have a supplements video that I have converted that into a blog, and it has affiliate links. So I'll put the link to that blog down below. So that's my top 20 supplements that I recommend. I have some more that I've added, some that I've taken out, but those are still ones that I recommend on a regular basis. So I think that would be an important video for you to watch, but I'm gonna mention a few things on there. So one of the things that I would highly recommend is getting grapefruit seed extract by a brand named Zazie. They are the only ones. There is, I think, a couple other ones that have come out that have kept their concentration good. I was a firm believer in the Nutrabiotic brand, and about 7 or 8 years ago, they took their original, put it in a teeny bottle, charged quadruple, and then they diluted it, which you lost all the effectiveness by decreasing the dose, basically the milligrams. So I have a protocol that the Lord and I have developed. It was the Lord. I don't want to give any credit to Holly. But at a desperate hour, my kids were being ravaged with bacterial infections that were secondary to this, that, or the other, whatever. We won't go into the whys, but they were on, 2 of my kids were on antibiotics so much that the oral kind quit working, so they had to put them on injections. Every 3 days we went to the pediatrician's office, and we were in an apartment. We couldn't get out of it. We were building a house. The apartment was brand new. It was poorly managed, and they had black mold. We did not know about it. It was just kind of a wild thing. So that was a long time ago, and that was when the Lord gave us the download. Now, we had already gone through all the difficulties, and that is in my GSC video. I will put the link for that down there. That's the original story of where the Lord broke in and said triple the dose, because I was already using the Nutrabiotic brand. That's the one I don't recommend. I recommend Zazie. I'll have Rachel put that right here for us. Zazie 00 capsules. If you've got a kid, I am at the end of this video going to take a chance and give you the dosing on that. I typically only do that one-on-one. The worst thing that can happen is, first of all, you should have gone to the doctor because this kid was too sick for this. I'll hit some of that too when I get to the point where I start talking about kids. I typically do not dose on a video. Just because I want you to make sure you're paying attention to your kid and you know what's going on. So I will work with somebody one-on-one. I have never charged for any of my holistic help. It's my healing journey with the Lord, and this is my gift back, is to get the bride of Christ into the ark. Rachel, you're gonna have to put a cute little ark right here in my hand of natural remedies. Because if we're on the ark, right? If we're on the ark, then we're in the right place. So for me, this is my gift to the bride of Christ, and it's really from the heart of God to you. If you're not a believer, I hope you meet the Lord. And if you reach out to me, I'll reach out to you. I'm on Facebook. You reach out to me through Messenger, Holly Morrison. I'll message you back, and I will walk you through how to meet the Lord. I'll send you a Bible. I love him. He has walked me through so much. I've known him since I was a little girl, but I didn't get my first Bible until I was an older teen at my graduation from high school. So I love him. He's carried me through so much. He hears my cries. He answers my prayers. Sometimes it feels like he answers them a little bit at the midnight hour, but he always comes through. And he's taught me things. And so I want to teach these things to you. So GSE, Zazzy brand, 00 capsules. The way that I tell people to use this is when you know you have a bacterial infection. Okay, when do we get a bacterial infection? You got a cold, your head got wet, your chest got wet, you're hacking your head off. 2 days later, the fever has gone away from the cold or the flu. It doesn't really matter. They're both viruses, and the leftovers from a virus is a wet head and a wet chest. Guess what loves a wet head, wet sinuses, and a wet chest? Bacteria. And depending upon how strong your immune system is, you might kick it on your own. You might just do some normal saline nasal spray. Now, realize this is going to be a pretty lengthy video. I am telling you how to handle stuff. Now, on the supplements video, I break down what infection looks like. I'll probably hit a little bit of that. Again, I don't dose kids on that video, but I am going to tell you how to go about this. I've had so many moms reach out with kids who have strep. Okay, seriously, amoxicillin is what they treat it with. GSE at the lowest dose for a child kicks amoxicillin's butt. Is so much stronger. I have never seen GSE fail at the right dosage. So what the bottle recommends is not what I'm telling you to do. We are doing triple that dosage. And in some cases more, depending upon how rough you are. How do you know it's a bacterial infection? And we're talking about sinus infection, a UTI, bronchitis. I've seen it treat the highest level of pneumonia successfully. No, there's nobody actually making a video to tell you these things. And this video might get scrubbed because I'm being so specific. So I will also put it on Rumble. And of course, the link will be beneath the video of how to get in and follow me on Rumble. Same name, Midwest Meanderings. And again, I'm a holistic RN. No, I do not have any formal training in holistic RN, except for with the Lord. And I've self-taught. You know, I can read a book. Ben Franklin taught himself a ton. He read every book he could get his hands on. So I'm just telling you, my journey is with the Lord, and I have been on a long one. So, but I've never, ever worked with somebody with GSE and got them on the right dosage. And the right dosage is, if in 72 hours you're better, you're on the right dose. If in 48 hours you're worse, you need to up the dosage. What's the worst thing that can happen with GSE? It's grapefruit, organic, pulp, and a little bit of glycerin. The worst thing that can happen is when you eat a bunch of grapefruit, what happens to you? Sometimes you run to the bathroom a little bit more. That's the worst thing that happens. That's the only side effect that they have reported in the CDC. Feel free to go look it up and find out what, for a citricidal, that's what GSE is, what the known side effects are for taking it internally. Okay, I haven't checked it in a few years. I kept checking it. I would print it out, give it to people, and they would go, "You think grapefruit's gonna heal you?" I've been at this for so long now, I have seen thousands of success stories. Now, this is 17 years later. This is the Lord gave me the download to triple the dosage of the full strength, okay? And then Zazzy is the only one now that carries it that's full strength. So triple the dosage. And I mean, obviously, how do you find out what the dosage ideal is? My ideal dosage, what I have found to be effective, is 25 drops A 00 capsule, guess what that holds? 25 drops. So if you want to count 25 drops, you go right ahead. You can count 25 drops and mix it into any kind of juice and whisk it really good because it's going to stick to the bottom. But I recommend capsules. You probably won't find anybody else telling you to do that. And I've been doing it the longest. I don't know anybody who's talking about this. And that was just along the way. We didn't do it in capsules in the beginning. We just did it in juice. It tasted like a shot of liquor. Seriously, I don't even like liquor. I don't like any alcohol. Well, an occasional sangria about once a year. There we go, with lots of berries. So, rabbit trail. Okay, back to GSE. So GSE is the number one thing I can tell you as a prepper. Order it now, get it in your house, 00 capsules. Make sure you've got some shelf-stable apple juice, which is always shelf-stable, but some smaller portions, because, you know, kids don't always swallow capsules. Okay, here's another tip. If you've got a 5-year-old and you want to one day be able to give them GSE, you want them to probably be able to swallow a capsule. You can mix it in juice, then you're giving them a bunch of sugar, and we all know sugar is not ideal when somebody is recovering from sickness. So, you know, but the way to teach them, and I'll put a link below, this is going to be a link below video, of something called a probiotic pearl. That is the easiest thing to teach your kid how to swallow a pill. So you take that little pearl and you just give them a cup of water and you just say, hey, when you've got that down, here's your reward. And if that kid, a reward is 30 minutes of screen time, then do it. If it's a popsicle, then do it. Whatever you got to do. It might take a week. It might take a day. It might take one time. But it's small. It doesn't dissolve. And it's an easy way to teach your kid how to take a capsule. That's a beginning. Once they learn how to do that, then they can move up to a capsule. Okay, so that's important when you're trying to get your dose. I have had a friend who lived overseas and I'm walking them through GSE and none of her kids take capsules and some of them are older, so she's having to get quite a bit of GSE in them. The GSE worked, but she worked herself to a dither. So moms, teach your kids how to take capsules, please. That would be the best thing I can tell you. And just so you know, I answer 100% of my comments. Even when we were on the original channel where we got our beginnings with Goshen Farm and Gardens, we had videos that were, I had 3 of my videos that were over 1 million views. So you could just imagine how many comments I got. They're the ones that taught me into making that first video of how to make milk kefir. She would help me answer comments when we would get over 100 or so and I could get caught up. So she would do the ones that she could figure out the answer because she's been around me long enough to know how to do things and give answers that would be typical of what I would say. So anyway, 100% of my comments. So no, I'm not gonna like walk you through everything, but I've had people follow me through and get hooked up with me through Messenger. And I had a precious, precious, precious lady during the drama with all that. And I had a video I put out, it got 100,000 views in 24 hours. And it was how to heal this naturally. They deleted it and said it was a threat to society. So she followed my link into my Facebook. Well, at that time it was another group, but now all I have is a Facebook group, and it's not a Facebook, it doesn't go into your timeline. So you have to visit it or you have to look at my notifications to see that I've put something up. So, and I do have that. It's Midwest Meanderings. Feel free. I'll put a link for that down below, but she followed me in and I hooked up with her. We ended up exchanging numbers, but her husband, who was a pastor, he was very sick. They were about to do a lot of extra interventions that I was not recommending, and I was telling people not to do the protocols that they were recommending in the hospital because it was shutting down multi-system organ failure, which resulted in them going on a breathing tube. And pretty much multi-system organ failure and a breathing tube is pretty much you're done and you're going home to see Jesus. I didn't quite say at that point yet, but I put it pretty clear. And I told them there's another way. We can get them on GSE, we can get them on Now I didn't even know about this anti-inflammatory way of eating at that time, because obviously we're a year and a half into this. So I would have recommended this also. But turmeric was what I was recommending, and obviously the GSE, and for him, he was, yeah. So anyway, she literally took him out and took him home and ordered what I recommended, and I walked her through it. We communicated every single day. It took him about 3 weeks. He turned the corner, and he's still preaching to this day, and they're a precious family, and they have been one of my greatest encouragers ever since then. They were just wonderful and so thankful, and they just have just been great supports. So anyway, that's one of our success stories, but they're all success stories. I've never seen anybody jump into GSC, do the protocol the way I recommend it, and not have success. The main thing is you got to know what you're looking at. Like, a virus has limits. The virus is not what takes people out. It doesn't matter which flavor of a virus. Now, obviously, I'm talking about respiratory. So anyway, the protocol for that is 1 capsule that's 25 drops with food 3 times a day for at least 2 weeks if you know you have a bacterial infection, like sinus infection, you're bringing out color through your nose, you're coughing up chunks, it's yellow, it's green, bloody. If it's yellow, you're in the early stages. White is the very early, you can start treating, but you probably would not need the highest dosage. It doesn't hurt, especially if you have a weaker immune system, then you should hit it with all you got. The worst thing that's gonna happen is a little tummy turbulence, which completely can be fixed with probiotics at bedtime. And I recommend one, it's in my supplements video. I highly recommend that anytime you're on any antibiotic, whether it's from a doctor's office or a natural citricidal like I'm recommending, because it is going to diminish your friendly bacteria, and you don't want that long term. So probiotic at bedtime, which the probiotic pearls would work, especially for a child. And then you're gonna do this for at least 2 weeks at the lowest dose if you're looking at white or yellow. 1 capsule 3 times a day. If you're talking about a child, pretty much the lowest dose I'm gonna recommend is that same dosage, but you just won't feel the capsule is full. And it really depends upon their weight. So if you have a 10-year-old like I do, that's the size of an adult woman that's small, then you're gonna dose her like an adult. It's more to do with your weight. If you have a really petite child who's 2 years old and only weighs 35 pounds, which I hope not, 40 pounds, then you're gonna do closer to about 10 to 15 drops 3 times a day, mixed in juice, or if you can get them to take a capsule. But that's going to nip it. If in 48 hours you're worse, you do more. How much more? It's up to you. The worst thing that's gonna happen, like I said, is tummy turbulence. The way you fix that is bananas, yogurt, probiotic. Stay hydrated. And again, you can reach out to me, I'll walk you through it, because I love the body of Christ and I love his creation. So if you're an unbeliever and you need help, I never don't help. So anyway, okay, GSC, that's like my #1 supplement. It's the #1 thing I'm saying, get it in your house. Why? I don't know. If there's an interruption in anything that they are saying could happen, right? Like they say an EMP could happen. I mean, we had that balloon traveling all the way across our country and nobody shot it down until it was done collecting its information. So I don't know, what do you think? There's a risk there, right? We have an election coming up in November. Please vote, and please vote thinking about your children, and look at how much you're paying for groceries, okay? Like, were you paying, like I saw people saying, I put the exact same into my cart, that I don't do Instacarts, but I put the same thing into my cart for Walmart that I did 3.5 years ago, and it's 60% more than it was 3 years ago. So if you're better than you were 3 years ago, then you just vote however you think is best. But I'm telling you, please vote, and vote in person. Oh, there's my pretty flowers in the background, isn't that pretty? And vote with paper, please. Vote with paper. That's not that hard. Just vote with paper, you know? I voted years ago when the digital stuff first came out, and I literally had to go get help because it kept changing my vote to the other guy. And I'm like, I'm not voting for him. And they're like, oh, well, it'll all work out. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna work out. I want my vote to count. So either you can fix this now or you can take me to another machine, but I wanna be sure my vote is what I voted for. Okay, moving on, rabbit trail. Okay, so next thing is inflammation. What can you do to get your inflammation down is look at your diet. If most of the food you're eating has an ingredient list of 30 or more, you're not eating real food. So there's a Whole Food 30. That's a great introduction to getting into real food for all of your family. I don't think everybody needs to go carnivore or meat-based or pro-metabolic. I recommend all of those, by the way. I think keto can easily get into junk food. So I'm not against keto. I just think you got to do smart keto. That's a good word. We should coin it, smart keto. I'm ketovore. I do about 30 grams of carbs a day through roots and fruits, a very rare, occasionally, a little bit of sourdough. And other than that, I eat meat and fat. Love it. Eggs, beef, butter, steak bites. Oh, those are delicious. Put a video link down there. Oh, I can't do that. It's too many links. All right, so clean up your diet. Okay, that's a bit bigger. Okay, but if you really want to look into an anti-inflammatory way of eating, because if you get your inflammation down, your body's going to respond to everything better. Check out our video for how to a quick start, jump start for carnivore, and then we've got lots of content since a year and a half ago of foods that we're eating that are whole foods, that are deeply nourishing, and they will shrink your inflammation. Well, guess what? If your inflammation is low, then you can breathe secondary to a respiratory infection, and you're going to kick that infection quicker if your body's not all inflamed, because when you get rid of inflammation, you get rid of it everywhere. Like my face was puffier. I don't know if I can find a puffier one, but whatever. My gums used to bleed every time I brushed my teeth. I've had 2 dental checkups since I changed my way of eating. I have no bleeding anymore. The dentist said she cannot find any inflammation in my mouth or my daughter's mouth, or my husband's due for a checkup. But I'm sure his will be just as good because he eats the way we do. Okay, so that one, I don't want to nail too hard because I feel like that's all I've been talking about for the last year and a half. Okay, so what else can you do to boost your immune system? Things that you can get into your house that are going to be, prepper kind of things. Things that you could have an interruption in services. I mean, we all saw that 3 years ago. I mean, I went into the grocery store and I couldn't buy the stuff I needed for my family. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could get some things delivered, but there was limits. Like, everything was subbed out because they didn't have it, or they didn't have this, or they didn't have that. So if you want to sustain your family during an interruption that could happen, and it could last for months. I mean, I'm a dreamer. I've been getting dreams from the Lord all my life. My first dream was the Lord returning. Okay, so, we remember what it was like not to have things on the shelves, right? Okay, so what I'm recommending to have on the shelf, to have in your shelf, is stuff that's going to keep your body in good shape. So I already mentioned GSC. I did talk about, anti-inflammatory way of eating. We've got a lot of content on that. Whole 30, that's a great place to begin if you want to transition your family off of junk food. Pro-metabolic is very, I wouldn't say similar, but it's close. It's dropping your carbs, introducing real foods, matching them together with a small amount of carbs instead of a giant amount of carbs. And of course, what we're doing, me, ketovore, I'm doing a dramatically less amount of carbs, not no carb, because I don't thrive with that. And I think people in menopause probably don't. There's not a ton of us out there. And of course, my journey's been autoimmune, so I have had a lot of those issues. So this is my sweet spot. But the other thing is some supplements, and I've got the supplements video I'm going to talk about, but I've talked about the GSC. The other thing I want to talk about is D3 with K2. K2 makes it where your body recognizes it and puts it where it belongs. That is good for all ages and stages. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, or if you're breastfeeding or you're pregnant. That is food. And it is a supplement form. I do mine as a coconut base. I didn't used to. But when we got away from seed oils, which is incredibly inflammatory, so we do coconut oil virgin, extra virgin. Okay, so D3 with K2. And I don't have that one in my supplements video. I do have D3 with K2. It will lead you into Amazon, and then you just choose the version you want. So you want to choose the one that's based in coconut oil. I will probably put a separate link down below because there's a couple of them I go between, just because sometimes one brand's not available and I just get the other, or one's on sale and the other one's not. So we'll do that. So with kids, I recommend first you starting with fermented cod liver oil. If they are not taking stuff by mouth with a capsule, even though this is a good time for them to learn how to take something by capsule, then I would do the liquid form of the fermented, and I would do it flavored. The lemon one I think is the easiest to hide. There are videos out there of how to swallow fermented cod liver oil. We sneak it into a liquid when the kids are young, and I do half juice, half water, a little bit of drops of something, either monk fruit or maple syrup, and then you slide in my top 3 things that I want kids to be on. That's going to be your ounce of prevention, and that is a probiotic, but that's adults too. A probiotic, which we get ours through milk kefir. We don't really take probiotics anymore. Our guts are just bulletproof now with milk kefir. But if you're not ready to jump into that, I highly recommend a probiotic. That is on my supplements video, and that one's there at the top because it's one of the most important things is getting your gut cultured. Whether you could go buy kefir at the store. I would get the unflavored and sweeten it with monk fruit so you're not dumping a bunch of sugar in your system. But that's how you can culture your gut. So you need a probiotic rich food every single day. Ideally more than daily, but daily is the minimum. And if you know you've already had antibiotics in your system recently, I would definitely boost that up as good as you can. Like take the supplement at night, at bedtime. I just feel like that's the best time because you don't have anything messing with it. You don't have anything diluting it, and you just sleep and your body just gets recultured. So that is a phenomenal thing you can do. But D3 with K2. If you got a virus, you don't even have to test to find out that your D3 level was low because it was 100% of the time. So if you're getting viruses consistently and you're picking up stuff, you need to supplement with D3. Now, fermented cod liver oil, again, I tell families to start with that with kids because that does have D3 in it. I don't think it has enough D3 in it. Raw milk also has D3 in it naturally, but I feel like most people need more than what you're supplementing with, like you're getting through food. So, and cod liver oil is food, raw milk is food, but not everybody's getting either one of those in. So you could just start and get your level up. Children, 1 to 3,000 international units is the dosage. With children, they have little dots. They don't have K2 in them, but you can actually get K2 separately. I can hunt for a link and I'll put that down below too. And if you want to support our channel, by the way, I'll have a generic affiliate link. If you lead in with that every time you swing into Amazon, it gives us credit for your order. You don't get charged more. It's not a permanent link, so it disappears. So if you use it now and you place an order in the next 24 hours, we'll get credit for your order. That helps support my website. So that helps fund the fellow that keeps my website running. So anyway, that was just a little shout out to how you want to help us. And also, whenever I get my book published, please buy my book, buy it and give it a gift to somebody. It's going to be The Arc of Natural Remedies. So, and there's my dishwasher singing to tell me all the dishes are done. Yay. Don't you just love things that sing to you? Okay. All right. Moving right along. That was rabbit trail. I'll say kids, 1 to 3,000 international units daily. Humans, adults, the lowest you're going to take is 5,000. And again, it's D3 with K2. Coconut based ideally. If it does have an oil, you want to use coconut. If it doesn't have an oil, like the D3 dots that kids take, that's just like a little pink flavored yumminess that they will totally love, which means you need to keep it out of their reach because they could overdose on it. And nobody needs to be overdosing on anything, especially something you just paid money for and you don't need all that. Okay, so dosing adequately for the season you're in. So during the summer months, if you typically don't get sick during the summer, you probably are getting enough sunshine. Guess what? D3 is the sunshine vitamin. You get it through the sun. If you stay inside all the time, you are not getting enough D3 naturally, so you need to supplement with it. So that is the best thing you can do to prevent a virus is D3. The other thing to prevent stomach bugs, and I have a stomach bug video, I will put the link down below because I believe all of this is prepping. Activated charcoal is the first thing you want to put in your body, but if you don't want to get a stomach bug, milk kefir, probiotic daily. You don't have to do both. If you have not done any probiotic ever, and you've never done milk kefir, then I would suggest doing both initially. But once you've gotten into a rhythm where you're consuming milk kefir on a regular basis, then you can, like us, you don't take a probiotic. You don't need it. And you have bulletproofed your immune system for stomach bugs. But honestly, you bulletproof your immune system period. I ferment my chicken food. No, I'm not putting a link up for that, but I do have a video for that. We've been making videos for 8 years, so we got a few videos. But that's how I bulletproof their immune system. I've got like 45 birds out there, so I ferment their food 3 times a week, and they run to it like it's crack. I don't even know what crack, you know what I mean. They run to it like it's chocolate. That's how I feel about chocolate. Yes, as a carnivore, I do eat chocolate. Not often, but I do. It makes me happy. And the other thing the Lord told me, like the Lord told me years ago that we would go through a short-term shaking. I thought when we went through that season, I'm trying to do it where you can see the letter, right? When we went through that season, I thought that for sure was it, and it wasn't. And he said, nope, that's not it. In the dream, it was 8 years ago. So it was when I had that crazy deep menopause. That's when I hit, the second time I hit 340. I couldn't breathe. I just go to the bathroom. I would be out of breath. But what a wonderful time to get a dream like this. But in the dream, the Lord showed me the language was a short-term shaking. I'm not going to describe the whole thing to you because Lord knows I'm already making this video way too long. But a short-term shaking, and that the way that I will know that we were in that season is that the central banks would decline. And he said to put up food storage for that season. And I'm like, Lord, is that now? And he clearly said it was not. And then I'm like, well, what kind of food storage? I've got beans, right? I'm carnivore now, and I got 100 pounds of beans. Anybody needs beans, you come to my house. I will feed you beans, and I know how to cook them properly. We don't eat beans anymore because they're very inflammatory. Anyway, Mary had colitis, so she doesn't get beans at all anymore. She never really liked them anyway, but that's the other autoimmune issue that she had was colitis was resolved. Asthma and colitis, guess what, go hand in hand. They go together. So anyway, we don't eat beans, but we got plenty of them, and they're organic, and they're still good. Got them from Missouri Standard. So, but, okay, another sip of water because this is a long video, right? For those of us who've missed me, after this video, you're not going to say that, right? So, okay, so the dream, the Lord said there would be a short-term shaking, short-term, and the sense he gave me over the months later, this was 8 years ago, was that it would last a few months, like 3-ish. Never gave me like an exact number, but I kept sensing in my gut, you know, that inner man right there, that spirit man, 3 months. It could be longer, it could be shorter, I don't know. If it's shorter, yay. If it's longer, if you're ready for 3 months, you're probably ready for 4 or 5, right? So, and he said that the way that I would know that that was what was happening is that the central banks would decline dramatically. And I'm like, the central banks. Okay, I live in Missouri, and there's a bank line called Central Banks. I knew that was not it. So I talked to a friend of mine who was European, and of course he's way more versed in financial matters than I am. And he said, but he loves the Lord and also is a dreamer, and we've been friends for a long, long time. And he said, Holly, the central banks are the Federal Reserve. Did you know that? And I'm like, nope. Had no idea. So, I don't know. Do you watch the Federal Reserve? Do you watch the central banks? Are you paying attention to what's going on with them? If they have a sharp decline, I'm just telling you, that's what the Lord told me. So the beginning of this year, of course, I'm like, okay, Lord, it's an election year. We all know this is going to be an interesting ride. What's up for this year? And all I kept remembering was that dream. Now, that dream has come to mind maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times over the last 8 years. But this is the time that it came to mind, and I said, Lord, you're bringing this up a lot. I think you're saying, that's this year? And then, of course, there's a lot of prophetic voices. I'll be happy to tell you which ones. If you want to ask below in the comments, I'll put you a link. Chris Reed is one. We love Morningstar, love Rick Joyner. Rick Joyner is also another one. A new fella named Brandon, he's the dude that got the prophetic word that Trump was going to get shot in his ear. His channel is called Last Days. I like him. He reminds me of Bob Jones. Just kind of a wild fella, big heart, you know, genuine, not there for the ride, not there for anything crazy. He just loves the bride, wants to tell her what he's hearing in his time alone with the Lord. So anyway, but January of this year, I heard the Lord just highlight that dream. And the closer we have gotten to where we are right now, because it is August of 2024, that has not left. And my husband and I are in great unity. So we've been, doing some wise things. The Lord, after that dream, I remember talking to him and I'm like, Lord, we got beans. What do we put away? What do we put away? And he said, comfort and calories. There's that C. This time it's not that other thing. Comfort food and calories. Like calories to keep you going, right? Beans would work. I don't know that you would enjoy it, but it would keep you going and you could feed a lot of people. And then the other thing was comfort food. Well, your comfort food might be different than my comfort food. This family likes chocolate. So anyway, so comfort and calories. So I'm putting that out there, take it or leave it. It was a freebie. But it's an 8-year-old dream. And if you see the central bank start doing something, or the Federal Reserve, and it's going down, declining, then kick in. Go ahead, kick in. Run to dollar store, get what you can. Not in fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power and love and a sound and stable mind. That's what God says, and I believe him. And he keeps those in perfect peace who keeps their mind on him because we trust him. He watches over those who call upon his name and trust him. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. So if you don't trust him and you have no faith in him, you will have no idea when he showed up strong for you. You'll just go, wow, what a weird coincidence. It's not a weird coincidence. It's called the Most High God takes care of what belongs to him. We belong to him. The bride of Christ belongs to him. So all I'm saying is get your house in order. These are the things we're doing. And these are the things we're doing on behalf of people that we're close to that may not necessarily think anything's going on. So maybe you're that person too. Maybe you're the only one paying attention. And maybe this time next year I'll go, wow, that was kind of a false alarm. So that means I got extra GSE. Well, that's okay, because I'm constantly giving the stuff away. It's easier for people to have faith to take that stuff if they didn't have to fork out $17 to buy it. Not expensive, but that bottle of GSE can save a life. Okay, so what else would I tell you to do? I don't know. Trust the Lord. Talk to him. Ask him. Ask him to give you a dream. Ask him to give you a vision. If you don't normally get dreams and visions, maybe you don't have faith for that right now. But get in his word. Get your heart at peace and just follow him. There are other things that I have videos on, like an iodine protocol that you can make a nasal spray and a gargle. They are great. If you've got a husband who's going out the door and you want him to have as much resistance as possible, that video, Rachel, you have got a lot of video links you got to help me keep up with to get down there below. So I will put a link for that one. That was actually the video that almost kicked me off of YouTube, that I put out during the Dramaness. And it was how to heal that virus naturally. So, and my supplements videos kind of hit all of that. I've only got one supplement video. I talk about Echinacea Supreme. That is a phenomenal immune system booster. That's a good one to have in the house. If you have somebody who's allergic to grasses, they might not do so well with Echinacea. They can do olive leaf, or elderberry is great for kids. You need to have two so you can alternate. So my kids alternate between Echinacea and elderberry. We don't really need any of that anymore. Our immune system is just really strong. We don't pick up anything anymore, which is just lovely. Now we keep up our D3 level. We all take cod liver oil. And cod liver oil, by the way, is amazing for allergies, and it works fast. You start taking it now, and in 2 weeks, you have shut down most allergies from outside. So it's really beneficial for a lot of reasons. And adults can take it too. Obviously, I promote that. We do that. So I would highly recommend that too. So I know that's a lot of things you have to buy, and maybe you won't necessarily be thinking about that. Oh, should I go buy a bunch of supplements? I would say D3 with K2 and vitamin C, and an immune system booster would be great. One that would work for your family, or two of them that you can alternate between. Because you never know if another cooked up germ gets cut loose again, right? The potential's there. I think there was more damage from the injection than there was from the original. So that's my 2 cents on that one. I won't go into that too much because, again, I get filtered on the YouTube, so I have to be careful. I actually had a very old early video that I had put out on how to make baby formula following the Weston A. Price protocol, and the Healthy Home Economist actually has a place where you can buy all the supplements that go into it. You take raw milk as a base, or bone broth if you have a child that's allergic to milk, or goat's milk. Obviously, you could do any of those. That video had been circulating for 5 years, and 2 months before the baby formula shortage, that video was deleted, and the message I was given was it was a danger to society, and that if I put out content like that again, I would be deleted, and all of my content deleted. So I don't know, this video might be that video. We'll see. Let's hope not. Okay, I think that's it. I don't know. There's probably a few more other things I could say, but that's it in a nutshell. Check out our other content, and if you find this video was helpful, give us a thumbs up. Put a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, I answer all of my contents. Definitely give us a subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we've got content coming out. We obviously are going to be working on getting that book out, hopefully in the next little bit. I don't know. It just, it's a journey. I've never put a book out before, but the Lord has clearly told me he wants this material in a book format. So thanks for dropping in. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this put your heart at rest. It gave you some tips. Obviously, this is not going to be exhaustive, but it's my take on what I would encourage anybody that knows me to put aside these items, get them in your house, go ahead and get them in your system. And, just be mindful, be wise, be aware of the times we live in and prepare. There's a scripture that clearly says that in the good book. Like, a wise woman looks ahead and sees what is going on and prepares for it. That's what I am choosing to be, and that's what I'm encouraging you to be. God bless you, and thank you for dropping by our Midwest Meanderings. Okay, so I'm sitting here thinking about homeschool and getting my kids books ordered because we homeschool. And I was like, I promised something for the end of the video and I hadn't done it yet. And of course I was taking my supplements. There's my cod liver oil. It's really just good for your immune system, but it's also good for your jaw health, your bone health, your teeth health, your oral health, your heart health. Yeah, it's the bomb. Okay, so what I had promised y'all was that I was going to tell you how I have dosed for 17 years. We have not been on a prescription antibiotic for 17 years. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't had a need. It just means we haven't had to use prescription antibiotic because we've dosed with GSC. Zazzy brand. Yeah, I know you're tired of hearing me say that. Okay, so, but I promised at the end of the video, and I'm doing it at the end because I want you to have to get here on purpose. I don't want people to recklessly take care of their kids. Yeah, those are my clean dishes over there. My darling daughter who's 17 is amazing. So anyway, I blocked it with the last video. Don't you just like that? That's how we roll. Because, real life here. The dishwasher was full, so a lot of hand wash. Because we do everything from scratch. Okay, so I want you to know what to do for your kiddos when they're sick. And how to know when they're sick enough to get help, right? Okay, so we're talking about somebody under 12 months. Please don't reach out to me. I am not going to help you unless you're family, because I know what to do, but you can mess something up with a little one. You've got to really stay on top of things. They can get dehydrated quick. They can get into trouble quick. They can die quick. Yeah, not going to do it. Love you. Bless you. Not going there. Okay, so over a year old, you got a little more wiggle room here. Okay, so the reality is I want you to know when it's time to get emergency help and when it's time to take something that's going to shut down that bacteria growth. So fevers are your friend. You never want to get rid of a fever. If it's over 102 and they're miserable, dose them at bedtime to get it under control. We are a Tylenol-free family. Tylenol is not helpful, in my opinion, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So I'm not telling you that there's, over-the-counter meds are what they are. They're over-the-counter meds. They are medicines They have their role, their place. We have them in our house. We don't use them a lot, but there are times when you need them. So if you've got a kid who's febrile, has a fever over 102, and they're miserable and they can't sleep, give them a dose before they go to bed so they can sleep. Of course, hydrate, and don't give them junk or anything with artificial stuff. You know, that's all common sense stuff. And hydration stuff is in my stomach bug video. That one's gonna be down below. But I want you to know how to dose with GSE for the purpose of getting rid of bacterial infection. And that means, like, you know, their sinuses, like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, even a 3-year-old is not going to have a sinus infection because their sinuses are not mature, but they can have an infection in their nose and in their nasal cavity, and then that can be draining down the back of their throat at night, and then you start getting bronchitis because the wind tube here, your bronchioles, are getting full of fluid at night. So, you know, I mean, there's lots of over-the-counters that I will use in the extreme measures. That includes Mucinex, but I want to mainly just make sure you know when it's time and how to dose GSE, and then I'll hit the rest at the end. I'm going to keep going, okay? Because there are people that want the information. Again, talk to me below in the comments. We can link in and get into Facebook Messenger, and we can communicate that way. I will help you. So don't feel like I'm bailing on you. I could just only give so much information in a video before people check out. Okay, so GSE dosing. If you've got a child that is 10 years old, but has the weight of a 4-year-old, you're going to do your lowest dose, which is around 15 drops. I wouldn't go lower than 15 drops. You're wasting your time. So 15 drops is going to do nobody harm, even the littlest of your littles. And if you're worried, go with 10. 3 times a day, always 3 times a day, always with some form of food. Bananas and yogurt are your friend during the time that anybody needs to be on an antibiotic, because it coats that stomach and it gives it a little bit of a barrier to keep from there being irritation. Okay, so a little one who's got yellow and they're coughing up stuff, pretty much 5 days after a cold or the flu, you're growing cooties. So that's always my telltale. Like, you're 5 days out, you're still coughing, you're still blowing your nose. You've got bacteria here and here. And if you want to prevent pneumonia, then go ahead and start GSE. If it's yellow, you're infected. Dr. Cook, bless his heart, he's with the Lord, I hope. I don't even know if he was a believer, but he was a good man. And he was a wonderful doctor. He had white hair. And I respect anybody that's still alive and practicing medicine. And he was an allergist. I used to joke and say a white-haired allergist. But he taught me more than I learned in nursing school. And every time I walked in there, he would go, okay, do you have any color when you're not sick? You know, do you have any white? White is color. White means there's bacteria growing. So if it's clear, it means you're still at the viral stage, or you've got allergies going on. And allergies can go into a secondary infection. A virus or an allergy never takes anybody's life. It's always the secondary infections. So that's the ones that can take a life. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm telling you that with adults and children, it's rare that you die from a virus. It's the bacteria and the secondary infections that take a life. And I've seen it more times than I can count. And I've seen it in home health. I've seen it over the years. I've seen it with family. I'm not saying the life part, but I've seen people die of secondary infections that were neglected too long. I've seen people 6 weeks after a cold or after the flu. And I mean, we're talking before 3 years ago. Okay. Like the flu from 4 years ago, everybody's like, and of course that, you know, all colds are coronavirus, just for the record. That engineered one, you know, that came out of that lab, it was built on top of a cold virus. They isolated that and learned how to do that back in the 60s, like seriously, but they, I guess, had enough ethics not to do anything crazy with it until necessary. Okay, rabbit trail. All right, back to where we were talking about. So dosing your kiddo. So start at 15 drops of the Zazie brand, 3 times a day with food, a probiotic at bedtime. If they're little, do the Pearl. If they're not little, I recommend the Code Age brand probiotic. That's in my supplements video. You just want to colonize that gut, keep it friendly, bacteria rich, because secondary infections of a stomach bug happen almost always after somebody has been on a round of antibiotics. So that's important, is to make sure you want to keep your friendly bacteria good. And then after you're done with your 10 days or 2 weeks of GSE, depending, if they respond really quick, like within 72 hours, the color has now dropped significantly to either clear or white, they responded quickly. That means you hit it early. Great job, Mom. But if you waited a little too long, or you got a hold of this video and you're 3 weeks in and it's green and yellow coming up, sometimes chunky, you might need more than 2 weeks of GSE, or you might need a higher dose for your little one or for yourself, because I mean, you know. Okay, so with an adult, you can go up to 2 capsules 3 times a day. With a child, I would never go that high, unless you have a child who's 6'2". I mean, I grow boys really big. They're very tall and giant by the time they're 15 years old. So, you know, so my big boys would have been taking 2 capsules 3 times a day. I have occasionally done higher doses and occasionally done it more frequently than that. And we're back to dosing. So 15 drops 3 times a day for your youngest. Your largest and oldest, if you've got a child the size of an adult, you can dose between 1 to 2 capsules 3 times a day with food, probiotic at bedtime, hit repeat. Don't ever be on it less than a week. If whatever was going on responds quickly, then 7 days may be sufficient. But anytime you're knocking a bacteria down, you want to kill it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not trying to kill every bacteria in your body. That's not good. You need your friendly stuff. And the good thing about GSE, it's not synthetic. It's food. So it's food that just happens to knock down bacteria. So it's not broad spectrum in the sense that it's not wiping everything out on the planet. But if you're on a high enough dose long enough, you can get, you know, where you've got your gut kind of wiped out. So you're going to have to replenish it. So anyway, so that's how you're going to dose a little one. A virus, you don't treat viruses with GSE. A virus will run its course. The more you can do to support your immune system, which is hydration, rest is important. Vitamin sleep is the most important vitamin. So rest, and promote rest. Dosing some Motrin at bedtime. Liquid Motrin, dye-free is what I would go for. Anything you can do to eliminate food additives, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to take Benadryl, take the dye-free. If you're going to take a Benadryl pill, you know, go to the one where you can get one that's white and not full of pink. You know, just little tips here that we're trying to do to avoid junk. Okay, so that's what you're doing, and you're trying to get the color. The color is the bacteria. So if there's only clear, there's no bacteria yet. If it's white, you're there. It's happening. And if it's yellow, you're definitely there. And that's what the white-haired allergist, I think I had to stop and start a few times, so I don't want to leave out Dr. Cook. But he was amazing, and he would always ask that. And I was like, good grief. I said, nobody talks about that in nursing school. Or he said they didn't talk about it in medical school either, but he said, I just learned. So, you know, and he teaches all of his patients, like, this is what, you know, when you are not sick, are you symptomatic? What kind of symptoms do you have? I mean, I would have people who were not sick when I would do home health, and they would be full of fluid and full of wetness in their head and their chest, and they weren't actively sick. They weren't actively supposedly allergic to anything, but chances are pretty good they were allergic to something. So your littles, you know, you want to get them on it, and get them on it pretty early. I mean, as soon as you see if they're blowing their nose or they're coughing, and then flush their little nose with a saline spray. Just get the cheapest one you can find, the one that works for them, the kind you squeeze. Works great, but sometimes the ones that are automatic, you can get a good squirt in there easier when your kids are younger. But keeping that flushing, and just a hot play bath, you know, just keep the water warm, and, you know, even when they have a fever, because it's comforting. You know, you want stuff that's comforting, that's going to flush their sinuses. All right, so this is not a one-stop shop to tell you everything. I just want to make sure you know how to do it, know when to start it. And of course, if you've got a question that I haven't answered, just put it in the comments below, and we'll figure out how to, you know, navigate that. Sometimes I almost always will send you to Messenger, just because I don't want people to talk about all of their stuff right there in the comments section. But, you know, if you want to, and you ask a question that's personal and you're fine with me responding right there, I will. But sometimes it just needs to be a little bit more back and forth. That's a little bit easier. So anyway, all right, that was the add-on to do with kids. And, you know, probiotics, don't forget those at nighttime, and always at night, just because you're dosing during your meals, and that gives your tummy time to recolonize in between your doses with GSE. And God bless you. I know it's not an easy thing to navigate sickness and disease with littles. It's just sometimes it can be really scary. And trust your gut. If you're not sure what to do, you're unsure what's going on, then go get help. You know, there's nothing like having a pediatrician that you trust. Those are hard to come by, but they're out there. So find yourself somebody that you trust and get help if you are unsure what to do, or you're not sure and your gut says something's really off. Trust that. That's the Holy Spirit speaking to your gut. Sometimes it's fear speaking, but you have to have peace. And if you don't have peace, then you've got to go get that. And if you need to get to the doctor to get that peace, then that's what you should do. All right, well, that's it. Bless you. I've been raising kids for a long time. I've had a lot of experience with sickness and disease. Now we spend all of our energy preventing, and it works. I know that not everybody is there, and sometimes when you reach out to find a video and you're in crisis, you don't always, you don't have your prevention stuff in place, and you may not even have stuff in place to help you, like as far as dosing and stuff. So hopefully this video finds you well and that you're able to get access to the nutrients and the things that I'm suggesting. God bless you. Bye. Thank you so much for dropping by our Midwest Meanderings. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if it was helpful to you, please share our video, give us a like, give us a sub, and check out the show notes below. It will have all the links that I mentioned, a link to our website, a link to my Facebook group, which is private, which means there's no spam. And of course, I'll have my generic affiliate link for Amazon, which is how you can support and help Midwest Meanderings expand. And definitely stay on the lookout for our book. It will be published, our first book one, which is The Ark of Natural Remedies. It will go live in October, and we'll keep you posted when that happens. Thank you again for joining us. God bless you.